Great swing thought here, the concept of keeping the lead heel on the ground. However, this comes with a caveat that for some golfers it's the best piece of advice you could have. It'll make you much more consistent and stable. For other golfers, it could potentially ruin your game. And at some point, someone's got to make that deciding judgment. Now, often that would be a golf coach would say, this is the thing for you to do, this isn't. In this scenario, you're left to make up this decision. Now, if you're fit, flexible, young enough, and never feel like you struggle with a bad back or bad hips during a round of golf, I would argue that your left heel should be down on the ground most of the time. However, if you struggle with backache, hip ache, you're a more elderly golfer, you struggle to hit the ball a decent distance, actually lifting your lead heel could encourage you to have a longer backswing. So if that's the case for yourself, this tip isn't for you. This tip is designed for younger golfers, golfers that are struggling with consistency, but always hit the ball far enough and don't struggle with any back or hip issues. So the concept here is that as we make a backswing turn, in an ideal world, we'd be able to wind up the upper body and leave the lead heel, the left heel, in place. If I move that left heel, it could be that I can get a bigger turn. Now, I don't need a bigger turn, so why am I lifting my left heel? It could also be that I lose my anchoring point, which is the important thing for me. So as I turn back to the top here, I'm fixed over the top of the ball. If that left heel lifts up, I can start to wander off. And this is what we see for a lot of golfers, is that they lift that lead heel, wander off too far to the right, they get too high, they've got a long way to get back down to the ball, and they have to plant that heel before they come back down again. So if you're with your mid to short irons, struggling for consistency, leaving that lead heel on the ground is going to be super important for you. If you're struggling with distance, you might actually agree that lifting that left heel is a good thing. So this is very sort of age or injury specific, this tip. Now, a good way of checking whether you can do that lead heel issue is to take the golf club, place it over your shoulders, stand and face the mirror where my camera is, and turn. And I've got to try and get that handle to point down at the floor near that mirror so I can turn to here. Now, I can get to that position quite comfortably. My hips, my knees and my heels aren't wanting to move and lift too much. If I taught this to a more elderly golfer, they'd probably get to about here and go, I'm a bit stuck now, Pete. How do I go from here? And it would be then that we'd probably see that heel starting to lift. So do that checkpoint first. If you can make that big turn and keep the lead heel on the ground, then that should be how you play. You should keep that heel down all the time. Now, specifically on the golf course, as a swing thought, what we wouldn't want to do is have the heel down on the ground for the first few holes and then think, I'm going to open on my shoulders now, I'm going to try and outdrive my mates, I'm going to try and hit the ball further, and then start seeing that lead heel lift up and swing down, because you won't be consistent. You won't be as consistent as you are if you keep that heel in position. So to start with, if I can keep my heel down at the start of the round of golf, I should keep that heel down throughout the entire round of golf. Keep it in place. That's going to help me be more consistent. But be careful with that lead heel tip. It's going to work great for some, others not so much.